Mr. Chairman?
Sure, Commissioner.
Each of us has an obligation as stewards of public records to release those public records when called upon to do so.
Now, is this dreaming or just remembering? Am I dreaming? Is this all a dream?
Madam Attorney, those transcripts are still confidential, correct?
Yes, as I've said, in my opinion, they do remain confidential and protected until the conclusion of the litigation.
And who has the power to release them if they wanted to?
In my opinion, the protection of those transcripts is a privilege that you as the client hold.
Not one member.
In my opinion, that is true.
Thank you.
Get your ass up out of that dirt and stand in that line of attention until somebody comes and tells you what to do.
The records are all out there now.
Yeah, they're out there.
I don't know. I mean, is there anyone that is interested in reading the records that doesn't have access to them? I mean, to take the action now is to, I mean, I don't think any of the board, if the discussion had gone, if the discussion had come before us, and I think that there could have been an argument made at a more appropriate, at that time, to probably end up releasing the records at that time with the vote of our board. I think that's probably how it would have gone, if it had been handled that way. That's not the way it was handled, and
This is a good character building moment.
Thank you. Madam Attorney, has the Attorney General passed made any decisions that would be appropriate for this type of an issue?
There's an informal Attorney General's opinion that says that a commissioner or a council person who verbally discloses conversations from a shade meeting does not violate the statute, and the Attorney General did not, in that informal opinion, get into the ethical dilemma that such an action may create. I do not believe that Attorney General's opinion addresses what the issue is when you deal with the actual transcripts.
We obviously disagree. I will always defer to my role as a custodian of public records, and I will.
Yes! I'm simply saying that multiple times in the 7 years here, we could not walk out of the room with documents.
These were not. This is different. These were recently distributed by email at the request of the commissioner from District 1.
And my intention was to publish them. And when I got them, the same day Doug got them, it said clearly they were confidential. And you and I had a conversation about that, Allison. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
But then subsequently to that, we find out that very same day, Doug went ahead and released them. But then Doug, I mean, we're sitting here being all righteous about how there's such a public record. You sat here through 2 meetings asking us for permission to release the transcripts, but you'd already released them. What was that all about?
No, Jeff, I don't, please don't ever think that anything I'm doing here is asking for your permission.
The state gives us very specific, I mean, this is, pending litigation is the only time that we really get a shade meeting. And to lose that privilege is a disservice to the citizens of Escambia County. Sure is. And so it sets a very dangerous precedent on future litigation against this county. And so just to decide by yourself that this was something you were going to release, and no, it wasn't acknowledged that you had already released it when Jeff first brought it up, or even in the subsequent meeting. I mean, I didn't have that knowledge. And so, to sit here and say that you're the guardian of public records, I don't know of any other member on this board that has a current pending litigation regarding public records. And so you decided by yourself to release confidential documents of this board. I mean, has anything I just said not accurate?
No.
Again, you have made me unleash my jaws of war.
Pending, interesting commentary, though, with regard to the pending legal action.
I understand that.
Okay,
but it's the same thing with the social media accounts. There was a board policy that said you don't do social media. You acknowledged it and said, I'm going to go against the board policy anyway.
Precisely.
This is Thunderdome. Death is listening, and we'll take the first man that screams.
Okay, sure. Well, I don't think that the records are all out there. Anyone that wants to read it can read everything that happened, and it does not, unless I'm incorrect by lights or speakers that want to speak, that I don't think your board is going to, after the fact, come and endorse your behavior. So
No, it wasn't a request for, the motion was not for an endorsement of behavior. It was a motion to give people the opportunity to do it.
It was verbatim a request to endorse the behavior. That was it.
Mr. Chairman,
Not even close, Stephen.
as a reflection, whatever the minutes reflect, 7 years ago, I mean, I don't have the recollection of hundreds of meetings, and so it's certainly my intent to have full disclosure of
Absolutely.
anything that's done. So, if in any way, Madam Counsel, if there was an action that I was cloudy on or was not able to articulate at that meeting, I'm willing to have that publicly at any time.
Well, and Commissioner, I will say what, my concern at that meeting, I felt like it was insinuated that you and I could have taken an action that would have had us not at all involved in Rarity currently, that we wouldn't be involved in an MSBU, we wouldn't be involved in the process if we had taken a different action years ago.
Well,
and
I would have been happy with that.
And I
So, you got two commissioners that are up for re-election. Same two commissioners that were a part of that shade meeting that Doug released the transcripts. Now, I haven't read the transcripts. Don't know what they say. But you're a fool if you think that they weren't released with the intention of doing political damage to those two commissioners. That's just the way he operates.